I'm Ian Fenwick, your MC for this evening and chair of the Chilliwack Creative Commission. And we are the organization that brings you this, our 8th annual PechaKucha, live from Studio C in Midtown Chilliwack, in person, and we're streaming online. The Creative Commission actively works to support film, TV, and commercial production, plus all manner of interactive, digital, and creative activity. Through this work, the Commission aims to help develop economic opportunities in the growing creative industry sector while enriching the quality of life in Chilliwack. The Commission acknowledges with gratitude that our creative work takes place on the unceded traditional territory of the Stolz Nation. I ask Commission member Sandra Bonner-Peterson to offer her First Nations welcome to PechaKucha 2022. Sandra, please.
Aiswale, Ethlot Quilmuk Tilsqui Talisal Quachiactal. Good day, my traditional name is Ethlot. My given name is Sandra Bonner-Peterson. I am a leader for my community at Chiacton First Nation, and I would like to welcome everybody to the Stolz territory. I raise my hands up and welcome.
Thank you, Sandra. The Commission is this smiling group of passionate creative leaders. Drawn from a cross-section of the community, these individuals work to develop connections among local creatives, helping to establish a fertile environment for creative work in Chilliwack. They are assisted by 3 very capable staff members pictured on the right side of the slide. While all members of the Commission have contributed to organizing this PechaKucha, key to this event are Tim McAlpine, who is juggling audio, video, streaming, and recording of this production in his own studio. Matthew Hawkins is our official behind-the-scenes photographer and provided the preview 10-minute countdown. And Amy Tam, CEPCO Manager of Business Development, has been coordinating the entire event. The Creative Commission is a committee of the Chilliwack Economic Partners, or CEPCO, the economic development arm of the City of Chilliwack. Thanks to both CEPCO and Mayor Ken Popov and City Council for their support for the ongoing work of the Commission. Here is Councillor Jason Lum, fresh from his victory at the polls, the city's representative and enthusiastic creative sector supporter, to offer his perspective on behalf of Mayor and Council. Please, Jason.
Thank you very much for being here this evening. It's wonderful to be here in person, and hello to everybody who's joining us online. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, welcoming you on behalf of the City of Chilliwack and the Chilliwack Economic Partners Corporation, and on behalf of Mayor Popov and the current council. And also, I just want to recognize Councillor-elect Nicole Heitema-Reid is in the audience tonight. So on behalf of the City of Chilliwack, thank you for joining us online. Thank you for joining us here in person. This is really my favorite event of the season because we get to hear about things that creative folks in Chilliwack that we didn't know about. For a lot of us, this is allowing us to discover some of the wonderful things that are going on in this community. And it's great. PechaKucha is a really unique format. It's difficult for the speakers. 20 slides, 20 seconds. Is that it? So what you're going to see tonight is a fantastic presentation. And thank you again for being here. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Jason, for that welcome. We would appreciate you, members of our audience, to connect with your friends online about this event. Please use Creative Chilliwack as the hashtag. Please, and also feel free to take pictures and post during or after the event. This evening's program will be continuous for about 60 minutes without an intermission. A word to the presenters. Remember, you'll have a 5-second countdown on the confidence monitor, which is up here, after which your presentation begins. Now, we are ready to begin. Our first presenter is Amy Andersen, the energetic and enthusiastic owner and operator of Just Peachy Sugaring Salon and Training Academy, a business she has successfully run since 2013. Amy loves Chilliwack has raised her children here, attended UFE, and appeared in theater productions. She is a published author penning Be Your Own Superhero and contributed a chapter to Women of Worth, Women in Business in a Changing World. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first PechaKucha, Amy Andersen. Amy, come on up here.
The definition of creativity is the use of imagination or original thought to create something. But you could define creativity in so many different ways. Creativity could be finding a new use for something old, or finding a new solution to an old problem. Sugaring isn't exactly new, but the Pacific Northwest is probably one of the last places on the planet to hear about this form of hair removal. Sugaring started around 1900 back in Egypt, and it is still the safest and most effective method of hair removal today. Similar to waxing, electrolysis, or a laser hair removal, sugaring does lead to a permanent hairless result over time. But unlike those other methods, sugaring is safe for absolutely everyone who tries it. It is the most eco-friendly method of hair removal, and it has a considerably lower price point, making it one of the most sought-after forms of hair removal in recent years. The way sugaring works is simple. You put it on the skin, you take it off, and with it goes the unwanted hair. The effects last approximately 4 weeks each time, with the more often you get sugared, the longer the hair stays away for. So owning and operating a sugaring salon out of my home in Chilliwack, BC sounded like a great plan, which is why I started my business in the fall of 2013 when my youngest child was just about to start kindergarten and I was about to have 6 hours of free time a day. Yay! As my business grew, I started to hire staff. And then I moved into my current location 6 years ago and expanded to 2 treatment rooms. Everything was going smoothly. The business was making money, Just Peachy was becoming a household name, I was hiring more staff, I was educating more people on the benefits of sugaring, and then a funny little thing happened in the spring of 2020. Just Peachy, along with every other personal service industry business in the province, got shut down for 12 weeks. Insert panic attack here. But what those 12 weeks did give me was a lot of time to think. And I do my most creative thinking when there's nothing else for me to do. So during the lockdown of 2020, I came up with a few creative solutions on how to save my business, keep my staff employed, and potentially help hundreds of other women, moms, and single moms like myself who may have just lost their jobs or at least now have the ability to work from home. All thanks to COVID. And the first was the launch of the Just Peachy Training Academy. Now, I personally learned how to sugar in the spring of 2013, and then I opened my business that fall. And about 2 years after that, I started training other women one-on-one, teaching them the art of sugaring and helping them start up their own home-based businesses. It started with a friend, and then my sister-in-law, and then a client of mine was moving to a small community that didn't offer any form of hair removal, and she wanted to fill that gap and offer sugaring. And that happened more often than you'd think. And before you know it, I'd helped approximately 40 women over 5 years learn how to sugar and open their own sugaring salons across the province. It wasn't formal, it wasn't fancy. I didn't have what I have now, but I took the time to teach them my tips and tricks. I told them everything that worked for me and didn't work, and then just helped them as much as I could when I could. So what the 12-week closure did for my salon was able to allow me to sit down, start from scratch, take all of my education, experience, and knowledge, combine it with the years of one-on-one training and coaching, and put it together into proper video tutorials, manuals, and hands-on learning techniques. I also created an online community of industry professionals and put all of that together into what is now the Just Peachy Training Academy. I now offer all of my courses online through my website, and I still travel across the province a few times a year doing in-person training courses, focusing primarily on the cities and communities where my original students now live, operate their businesses, and want ongoing support. I have always been passionate about helping other women, especially single moms, and I truly believe in collaboration over competition. So launching this new branch of my business just made sense. I was able to pivot my business in such a way that it caught the attention of a publisher friend of mine. She contacted me about a project that she was working on that she wanted me to join her with. In total, 19 female business owners, primarily residing from Chilliwack to Vancouver, BC, were chosen to work together and create the book, Women in Business in a Changing World. Each author was hand-selected as someone who had a business that was drastically affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and had found a way to pivot in such a way that they didn't just survive, but they thrived as well. And I was honored to be one of the speakers, one of the authors chosen in this collaborative book. For me, this book was yet another creative solution to the problem that lasted so much more than those 12 weeks back in 2020. This book is full of stories that inspire, enlighten, and encourage others, regardless of if you're an entrepreneur or not. They are stories of hope and of love and of empowerment. And being a part of such a beautifully creative group of like-minded women really drove home to me that what I was doing and creating with the Academy was where I was supposed to be, that it was the right thing to do, that it was the right time, and that together we could help change people's lives. I don't know where you are in your life right now, or if you feel like you might need a change. But if you're a creative individual in the Chilliwack area, and anything that I said tonight is sounding like something you want to be a part of, I would love to work with you. Please reach out to me. Just Peachy is just about to move into its new commercial location on the corner of Mary and Princess in downtown Chilliwack, and we will have multiple treatment rooms that we are looking to fill with different beauty service industry providers. If you would like to join the team at Just Peachy and myself and immerse yourself in a group of like-minded women who only want to see you grow and succeed in both your personal and business lives, please contact me. Because regardless of where you are in your entrepreneurial journey, whether you're just starting, whether you've been at it for a while, or whether it's just an idea in your head, the most beautiful things can grow when you step outside of your comfort zone, surround yourself with the right people, and just get a little creative.
Thank you, Amy. One talk in, and you may be wondering about the history of this interesting presentation style. Let me briefly explain. We have invited a number of speakers representing a broad range of interests to each present 20 images showcasing their creative work or how they harness creativity in the work they do. Each of these images plays for 20 seconds, in which time the presenters speak about the image, then automatically the image advances. This means that each presentation is 20 times 20 seconds, or 6 minutes and 40 seconds exactly. If you aren't interested in one presentation, just wait, another one will be along soon. This elegant and challenging for presenters format was devised to streamline over-talky slide presentations, to show more and talk less. PechaKucha events are hugely popular worldwide, regularly happening in more than 1,000 cities. PechaKucha translates from Japanese as the sound of conversation. After 2 years of live streaming this event due to the pandemic, we are back in person. For those attending in person this year, you have the opportunity to interact with the speakers in the lobby after the presentations, all the while enjoying the refreshments provided. Networking, discussion, and getting together after the show is all part of the PechaKucha experience. We are delighted that Jean-Louis Bleau, the new executive director of the Chilliwack Cultural Center, agreed to be our next presenter. Freshly arrived from Calgary, Jean-Louis eagerly accepted our invitation as he is keen to engage with his new community and learn about the cultural and creative aspirations of Chilliwackians. In Calgary, he provided creative and administrative leadership to the Mount Royal University Conservatory, offering a unique intersection of performing arts and education. He is a choral director, noted for his interdisciplinary productions, some of which he will describe in his PechaKucha. Jean-Louis, please.
Thank you. I'd like to start by thanking Ian Fenwick and the Chilliwack Creative Commission for inviting me, being so new here to Chilliwack. As mentioned, I worked at Mount Royal University Conservatory, but I also worked at the University of Calgary and still work at the University of Calgary teaching a course to all the fine arts students on interdisciplinary collaboration. Collaboration is something that has become a part of my creative practice. That practice mainly rooted in choral and orchestral conducting, and primarily focusing in the choral realm and expanding outwards. And what I love to do is explore through music, push boundaries, and take risks. So for Creativity Unbound, what I thought I would talk about is an ensemble I formed called Artio. Artio is spelled A-R-T-I-O. And I'll just read a little bit of what we would talk about with Artio. So Artio was noted as being Calgary's premier exponent of collaborative experimental choral theatre, in the words of Stephen Bonfield of the Calgary Herald. The name Artio is derived from a Celtic word for bear, and was the name of a Gallo-Roman goddess who often took the form of a bear. She represented creative, bold, and emergent abundance, all qualities that I hope the members of Artio would eventually embrace. Artio specialized in choral music that was distinct, demanding, diverse, and innovative. We explored a variety of genres from early music through to innovative creations being crafted by today's composers. We reimagined and reinvented the music of the past, embraced the avant-garde music of tomorrow, while continually seeking to push the boundaries of choral music and performance. In addition, Artio has been involved in a number of collaborative events, performing on stage with Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield and Tanya Tagaq. Artio performances fuse music with innovative ideas and other art forms, what we would call choral theater performances that drew upon the talents and imagination of the members. So what is choral theater when I talk about that? Well, choirs are usually stand and deliver choirs. They stay in place and they use their voice and sing. Or there's musical theater ensembles or show choirs with jazz hands and pop dancing. That's not what choral theater is. Choral theater was the collision of choral music, theater, dance, set design, costume design, art, and culture, all in the service of telling a story or addressing a topic. Some of the stories that Artio would explore was how technology has enslaved us and we're kind of locked into our devices, which were actually meant to liberate us and allow us more time and freedom. Or we would address climate change, bullying, and other social justice issues and concerns. So how did Artio come to be? It was my curiosity of working at the intersections of ideas and cultures, taking risks and being willing to fail along the way, and Canadian composer R. Murray Schafer. When I discovered the music of R. Murray Schafer, it blew open the doors to what I thought could be possible when working with music ensembles in particular. And to kind of describe a little bit about R. Murray Schafer, I'll talk about some of his operas. He would displace the audience in terms of space and time. His opera Princess of the Stars takes place on a lake and starts at 3:30 in the morning and ends as the sun comes up. This slide here from the Black Theatre of Hermes Trismegistos is an opera that's meant to take place in an abandoned mine. He has a 7-day opera where everybody gathers together in the backcountry in Ontario, or used to prior to COVID. And they would create encounters for each other, culminating in a core drama which would take place on the last day. Or his opera Ra, which details the mythical journey of the Egyptian sun god Ra, as at night he descends down to battle Apophis in the hopes of rising again. And it strikes me that the Chilliwack Cultural Center and the area surrounding it is almost perfect for this all-night opera, which could last between 8 and 10 hours. And I'm just planting that seed. So #creative goals for my time here in Chilliwack. The intersection of ideas and exploring artistic disciplines, similar to R. Murray Schafer, but in my own way, was also predicated on the idea of brainstorming on images. I'm a very visual person, even though I work in the realm of music. And so brainstorming on these images led me towards unique ways of working with artists, and I began to work with aerialists, synchronized swimmers, butoh dancers, and movement artists of all kinds. And in doing that, I began to think of how the choir occupies space differently. Through this exploration over time, RTO became a highly adaptable and fearless group of choral theater artists. Working at the intersection of creativity, rooted in a love of choral music, but pushing and expanding out, becoming so much more than just a choir. And I think another key element that is part of RTO and how we were able to accomplish so much with people who primarily started just as vocalists, who don't move, was this idea of taking risks and being willing to fail. Our society sometimes looks at failure as a bad thing, but for me, success comes because of failure. And with all of my choirs, I have one rule that I start every rehearsal at the beginning of the season with, and that is there are no mistakes, only creative embellishments. So be creative. If that means you're gonna sing a wrong note, and we'll add it in. I see mistakes as additive. Mistakes are the act of creation itself. It helps us learn, it helps us grow. And when it comes to making mistakes, on more than one occasion in my career and in the life of creativity and discovery, mistakes actually become the new and exciting idea or tool. And I'm delighted that I've been asked to actually present a clip of RTO and some of the stuff that we do. So the presentation, short clip that you're gonna see is excerpts from a piece we titled Scorch. Scorched was about water scarcity and class divide. And you'll see in this clip a little bit of how we pushed sound, embracing the music of a Vancouver composer, Katerina Gimmon. At the end, you'll hear this piece called Fire, but then also how we became a very active and theatrical ensemble. So with that, just a short excerpt from Scorched.
Brent Purves is the founder of Stir Marketing. He has consulted and partnered with hundreds of businesses and nonprofits in the Fraser Valley, across Canada, the US, and around the world. Inspired by a passion for the outdoors, a love for Chilliwack, and the desire to help others discover the joy of exploring, he has developed the Chill and Thrill. These self-guided hikes offering a variety of fun treasure hunts and exciting challenges for outdoor participants, including something for every fitness level and adventure style. In keeping with this year's PechaKucha theme of Creativity Unbound, Brent will not be joining us in the studio tonight, but will be coming to us instead from Elk Mountain, where he will take us on one of his Chill and Thrill challenges. And in filming his piece, of course, he's accompanied by the wind, which may sound for a little bit like it. He's got his own snare drummer, but here he is.
Hey, Brent Purves from Chilliwack, BC here. I'm standing just on the edge of a cornfield waiting for the sun to come up. And I was thinking maybe you'd want to come on a hike with me today. Hey, cheers. It's about 20 minutes later now, and we are about 1 minute away from the trailhead, and we're going to be heading right up here. The top of Elk Mountain, and along the way I want to tell you about this project called Chill and Thrill, and how through that project we've been able to inspire over 1,000 people over this last year or so to take part in over 10,000 different trail adventures, hiking and walking adventures on local trails. And throughout that time we've been able to raise and donate over $5,000 and give that back to local trails and to donate it to local nonprofits, including the Chilliwack Park Society, the Red Cross, and the SPCA. So why don't we head out and hit the trails, and I'll fill you in on the details along the way. So we're about 15 minutes into the hike now, and this project has really allowed me to check off some creative boxes, or check off some things off my bucket list. You know, things I've always wanted to do but just didn't know how to do or didn't have the time to do. So personally, this project is kind of selfish. It's been kind of my playground, you know, just to try things out, but also it's been a good opportunity just to improve my mental health, just being able to get out and explore nature and exercise more. And really, at the base of it all, or underlying it all, is that's kind of my hope and desire, is to inspire other people, to encourage others to get out and be more healthy and to improve their own mental health just by experiencing the beauty of nature around us. Okay, we're at the 3.5K mark, and I'm a hot mess now. And if I didn't tell you before, elk is steep. I made it to the viewpoint here. It's so beautiful. Behind me is the flag where crazy folks, men and women, sometimes bring up their paragliders in a big backpack and unpack it all here and put their wings on and take a run and a jump and then fly out into the valley and land in somebody's cornfield. Pretty crazy, pretty cool. Okay, so I lied. I'm going to go a little bit farther past the peak of Elk, and I've decided to continue on down the trail to the Thurston Cairn. I think I'll head out to. So let me rewind and tell a bit of backstory. I think it was about in 2006 that I had an idea that what if someone would just organize and lead some hikes? I bet a bunch of people would show up. So from that little idea, I got a few friends together, and we got together at the Sardis Starbucks on a Saturday morning and did a hike. And then I put together a quick website and got the word out just in a very small way. And before we knew it, we had a dozen people showing up on Saturday mornings to join us on hikes. And then somehow it quickly blossomed into a few hundred people signed up for an email list, and then hundreds and hundreds of people. But life got busy, and had some kids and got busy with work, and so at about the 6 or 7 year mark, I shut down the club. Fast forward a few more years, and before we knew it, COVID was on us, and I still had seeds of almost guilt in my head, just knowing that I should be doing something with the hiking club. Like, there should be a way to get people out hiking still, and I wonder if I could put something together and virtually lead people in a COVID-safe way to get out and to get hiking and to share all the knowledge that I have and all the resources that we put together with the hiking club to just make it happen. So that was the birthplace of the next step, or the evolution of the Chilliwack Hiking Club, which turned into Chill and Thrill. I continued to evolve the idea, and it was very kind of manual and all on paper for that first time. I made the tech a little bit more complicated in the back end, if you will. I made it work better on people's phones, and this time around for the fall challenge, I thought, you know, when people go out hiking, they often go out for coffee before or after hikes, so why not combine the idea of getting people to do 10 trails over the course of 10 weeks, and then also guide them to 10 out-of-the-way coffee shops that are near each one of the trails. So it would be this curated event that people could sign up for and easily just check off the boxes and try to do those 10 trails and have fun finding and just enjoying 10 great coffees with friends as part of this whole event. So we did that in the fall with great success. And then in the winter season, there was a big flood, so that one got canceled. But that forced me to get a bit creative quick, and we came up with an alternative idea to run what we called a virtual challenge, and we opened that up to people around the world. So following that winter virtual challenge, we decided to try something new again, and so this time we added dog-friendly challenges. And in the following season, in the summer, we thought, what if we swapped out the 10 coffee shops with the idea of 10 trails, 10 weeks, and 10 ice cream or craft brew shops. So that was a fun summer combination. And then now in the fall, we've decided to expand geographically to offer challenges not only here in Chilliwack, but also out in Langley and then out in Vancouver as well. Okay, time to head back to the car. Battery's almost dead on the GoPro here. We've gone about 6.5K, and my watch says we've climbed about 1,000 meters, so that's about 1 kilometer straight up on this hike today. So glad to be alive and to be able to come out here and experience this.
I'd like to invite Creative Commission member Jeff Edwards to the stage to tell you about some exciting initiatives from the Chilliwack Creative Commission. Jeff, come on up. There you are.
So thanks, Ian. As previously mentioned, the mandate of the Creative Commission is to attract and make possible economic growth in the film, interactive, and digital media sector. The Creative Commission promotes filming in Chilliwack by working with producers and location managers and providing options for diverse locations in Chilliwack. City Councillor Jason Lum has been an active member of our Creative Commission for years, and I'd like to congratulate him on being re-elected. Jason, it'll be good to see you back at our table. And we've come up with some really good ideas at our table, like our annual PechaKucha event that you're at tonight, or watching tonight, and Creative Third Thursdays, and recently added our Chilliwack Community Film Fund. And it was created in lieu of a filming application fee when somebody comes to film in Chilliwack. And we see it as an incubator to develop local storytellers. It's Film Fund is hoped that it will help aspiring Chilliwack filmmakers to perhaps get their start in the industry. So we relaunched Creative Third Thursdays following the pandemic in the spring, and we've been meeting here at Co-Work Chilliwack in the amazing Studio C. So, being the creative individuals we are, we got creative, and we've been creating specifically YouTube video content with local creatives right here in this room on Creative Third Thursdays. Here's some of the clips. So it's always a really fun meetup, and you should come. You guys are creative people. So we are working to develop a creative community where collaborations can happen. So come if you are a creative entrepreneur, a professional musician, filmmaker, video producer, game designer, TikToker, YouTuber, or you just want to hang with the cool kids. So remember, it's your monthly opportunity to meet and mingle with other creative people locally in Chilliwack, and there's no commute. So we also welcome those that want to meet creative people as well. So that's Creative Third Thursday, and remember, we always have a nice cold bevy ready for you. So that's about it for me. What a great evening this has been. Remember, Creative Third Thursday, Creative Commission. So thank you for coming tonight and tuning in at home. And remember, Chilliwack is creative. Ian Fenwick.
Jeff Edwards. There we go. Thanks, Jeff. Do you know that the Commission, as Jeff has been mentioning, also sponsors the Chilliwack Independent Film Festival, presented in November every year? In the 5 short years of its existence, the festival has been extremely successful in creating a buzz among independent filmmakers locally, nationally, and internationally. This year, the 6th annual festival will be running from November 18th to the 20th at Cottonwood 4 Cinemas. Please visit sif.ca to learn more and purchase tickets. Terrace Groves, the festival director, is a member of the commission and has prepared a trailer to whet our appetite for the Chilliwack Independent Festival Season 6. Please roll the video, Tim.
Take a page from my book, darling. Take a second, adjust your eyes to the light. 'Cause there's always tomorrow. Take a page from my book, darling. Speed fast through the night to get where we gotta go. There's always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow.
Thank you, Taras, and you can check out the schedule online, and some of the more things are after the films. There's often question and answers. You can talk to filmmakers, ask them about their process and whatnot, and there's some industry panels. Taras is bringing the film industry to Chilliwack, and it's an amazing job he's done building this over 6 years and putting on the Chilliwack on the map as far as filmmaking is concerned. So thank you to Taras. And speaking of CIF and the Chilliwack Community Film Fund, this flows perfectly into our next speaker. Imagine how we figured that out. Mick Stoltz is a recent graduate of G.W. Graham. She's a second-year art student at UFE and a local filmmaker. Each time a film company comes to Chilliwack to shoot a movie, as Jeff mentioned, TV show or commercial, the commission requests a donation for the Chilliwack Community Film Fund. The commission distributes these funds to a local young adjudicated filmmaker. Taras Groves then mentors the young filmmaker, offering advice and access to valuable filming equipment, plus a screening of the film at his festival. Thank you again, Taras. Mick, we look forward to hearing about your experiences as a young filmmaker, so please come up and tell us all about it.
All right, so in May of 2019, my filmmaking process began. I was in my grade 10 film class, and I wrote a screenplay because if I didn't hand something in, I was going to fail the class. So I panicked and I wrote something about something I'd been thinking about, characters I'd been thinking about, and my teacher was like, "This is great. You should enter it in CIF." And so I was like, okay, I'll do it. And when November 2019 rolled around, to my absolute surprise, I ended up winning the Script to Screen Award, which is like crazy exciting. And basically that meant that my screenplay was going to be made into an actual short film, which was crazy cool. And then of course, 2020 hit, and I won't talk too much about the pandemic because we all get it at this point. But it was definitely a bummer. It put a hold on things for sure. But when we finally, we're like, okay, we're going to do this. And, restrictions were lifted and we're like, let's get started. So October of last year, just after I had turned 18, I wrote up and I put out the casting call for my film. I posted it on like a million different Facebook pages. I posted it everywhere because I was terrified that I was going to get no responses to it. But I did, obviously. So, and then in November 2021 and January 2022, Apollo 5 Pictures was born, which is my little, definitely work in progress film company. My friend who's in graphic design helped me design the logo, which is super cool that like I have a logo for my stuff. That's so cool. And then in that same time period, I closed my casting call because I actually got people that were interested in my stuff and wanted to work with me, which was like insane to think about. So we ended up, I closed the casting call and I kind of got in touch with everyone and everyone was crazy on board with it. And I was like, all right, let's get started. Then in January 2022, I got COVID. So I was like, all right, yep. And it ended up COVID kind of messed us up again. A couple of us ended up getting it. So definitely put another hold on things. But once we were finally able to get started in spring of this year, I was crazy pumped, like insanely excited. So Apollo 5 Pictures and Zone Pictures were working together and, getting this done. So we started all of our we did more of our pre-production stuff. And then in March of this year, I found out that my boyfriend was moving to Langley and he's like, hey, move with me. And I was like, all right, why not? So I ended up moving out there with him and I was stressed about school. And so I just had a million other things in my mind as a teenager does. And in April of that year, it was more of the same stuff. I was stressed about school. I had to withdraw from a class because I was falling behind and everything was crazy stressful. And the one thing that kept me going in the back of my mind was my film. And I knew that I was so excited for this. And I knew that there were people that wanted to do it. And that's kind of what kept me going. And then in May, we were like, all right, let's do this. And then I got dumped. And so I had to move back home to Chilliwack. And my car broke down. And I had to quit my job. And so much happened. But in that time, I ended up making a list of my props. And I got all my props that I needed. And I got in touch with the actors. And we were like, all right, you know what? Regardless of what's going on, we're doing this. So we all finally met each other. Most of them were from Vancouver. So we all finally met each other. And up on the screen, there's some Polaroids of when we first met. And we had never met before. So it was like, I don't know how it's going to go. But we all totally clicked and had so much fun. And then when we started shooting, the first couple scenes we shot were me and the character Claire, who was played by Alexandra Wallace. She's amazing. We totally clicked. People were like, are you sure you guys haven't met before? And we're like, no, this is it. We're meeting for the first time right now. And so we had amazing chemistry when we worked together and it all just felt so natural, which was great because I was terrified. I had no idea how this was going to go. I mean, I've made little film projects with my friends, but this is what I want to do as a living. And, I had no clue what to expect. I'd worked with my iPhone and a couple of the cameras in my film class in high school, but I'd never worked with other people who knew what they were doing. And so I was, I had all these actors from Vancouver and I was like, I'm so scared I'm going to mess this up. And my lack of experience, but everyone stuck with me, which was super cool. And so this is pictures of one of my favorite scenes we shot, and it's me and Alexandra on my bedroom floor. And most of the film was shot actually in my house, which is cool. And then absolutely terrifying, we had this one scene where I invited 25 people to my house, and I was like, all right, we're doing a party scene. We're shooting a party scene. And everyone was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go. And I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go. And we were all kind of nervous about it. But I was like, you know what? It's happening. We're going to do it. We had, instead of alcohol, we had fake shots and it was all just water. And so I drank so much water that night as we were getting each take. It was I felt real hydrated at the end of it. And it went so well. No one there was expecting it to go well, myself included, and it went so well. I cried after everyone left, and I cried again when Brendan sent me the first draft of my film, which was crazy exciting. And obviously, he just sent me the first draft, and I cried. So I'm going to be a mess when the Chilliwack Film Festival actually happens and I see my film up there, I'm going to sob. But I'm super crazy excited for the future of Apollo 5 and, everything I make in the future. I've got no shortage of ideas. It's just about getting out there and doing them. But when I have such a wonderful group to work with, I don't think that'll ever be an issue.
Thank you, Mick. I seem to recall that the idea for this fund was Councillor Lum's, and we started out, Nettie, asking film companies to sort of donate $100 or $200, and Jason keeps urging companies to donate more. So I think it's up to the $500 to $1,000, and all that money goes to supporting filmmakers like Mick. So terrific. Yeah. We pulled the next video from our extensive PechaKucha collection. Aaron Pete contributed last year, and we liked his talk so much it warrants repeating. Aaron is the curator of the popular podcast Bigger Than Me. Aaron was born and raised in Chilliwack, graduated from Sarda Secondary, studied at UFV and UBC. His is a story of perseverance, determination, and love that enabled him to overcome significant early life challenges to become a broadcasting change maker. Aaron Pete.
I'd like to talk to you about overcoming adversity and reaching your full potential. My mother was saved by a nurse at Kokalitsa Indian Hospital as a child. That nurse is in the middle of this photo and my mother to the left. I wouldn't be here today without Dorothy Kennett's decision. I have always felt connected to my grandmother. She was always in my corner when times were tough. Visiting her was my escape from a life of poverty. She was, and still is, my hero. My mother struggled with a disability. Her and I relied on social assistance, community resources, and Good Samaritans when I was growing up. My mother took parenting courses at Family Place and did the very best she could to provide for us and to encourage me to move forward positively. We grew up in downtown Chilliwack during a tough period in the community. My close friend Jacob and I would visit the local subway during middle school, which looking back was a way we kept ourselves out of bad behavior. It was at this subway where it was robbed, I chased the person, and ended up having to go to court as a consequence. That was my first time taking a bold action. I learned this from my role models growing up. A few years later, there were plans to tear down a theater that my friends and I went to my whole life. Jacob and I started to try and save the Paramount. It was a sad day to see it torn down, but my first interaction with community leadership. At this time, I had teachers who told my mother that I might not graduate high school and that I had a personality disorder. The plan was to go to Chilliwack Secondary, but I switched in the hopes of having a better education without negative peer influence. I was grateful for this because the culture at Sardis was to go to university. I ended up attending UFV for criminology and criminal justice. During this time, I had professors who truly believed that I had a potential that was untapped. I have been to a few universities, but UFV will always have a special place in my heart because they encouraged me and said that I had more potential to live up to. Right after graduation, I called, emailed, tried to contact anyone at the Native Court Workers and Counseling Association. I had learned about the overrepresentation of Indigenous people and found this a way to tackle that issue while reconnecting with my culture. It was through this that I learned about Crown Counsel, judges, and lawyers. Through that role, I was encouraged to seriously consider law school. So I did. I started preparing for the law school exam at Starbucks. I wrote the exam and was accepted by Peter A. Allard School of Law, and I'm currently in my third year. I believe I proved the teachers wrong and my professors at UFV right about reaching my potential. But I missed my partner. I was living on campus, and I decided that I would rather commute from going to Chilliwack to Vancouver. And during that time, I listened to a lot of podcasts by neuroscientists, evolutionary biologists, and engineers, and it inspired me to start my own podcast. One of my favorite rappers, Sean Andersen, had a song called Bigger Than Me. It discussed his time and realizing that the music was bigger than himself and it wasn't about the money and fame. I listened to this song on repeat because it reminded me of my grandmother and her action of doing something bigger than herself and the influence and impact it had. With the logo, I did my best to tie in the Paramount Theater, which Jacob and I tried to save, the neon lights, and the album cover from Sean Andersen's song, Bigger Than Me, in the hopes that this would tie in my life experience into a project that was bigger than myself. I decided to focus on interviewing individuals I identified as role models, because I know there are many people out there with negative family supports, antisocial peers, and who don't have someone to talk to or listen to. So I decided to make 3-hour-long interviews where we hear about the family, their community, and their career. But I lost my grandmother this year, and this tore me apart. I thought about the legacy that she had left and realized that was one of the greatest gifts she could leave me. Through the Bigger Than Me podcast, I decided to carry on her legacy and try and build upon it, upon my family and my supports. I've had the opportunity to interview great leaders like Chief David Jimmy, who leads many organizations and has worked hard to build bridges in our community and not to look towards divisiveness. I've gained a lot from interviewing individuals like David, and hopefully my listeners have as well. It was an honor to interview Brian Minter for a few reasons. We talked about how he lost his mother to cancer, and it had a lot of similarities with my grandmother. We talked about his community and how he tries to impact his community in a positive way, and that made me think of my grandmother, her legacy, and how to move forward in a better direction. I've also had the pleasure of interviewing individuals like Inez. Inez Louie is now the Health and Wellness Director for Shiam First Nation. She talked about the challenges of attending the University of British Columbia and being apart from her family. And again, this resonated with me because these were similar challenges that I was facing. I've also had the pleasure of interviewing neuroscientist Ryan Darcy, who is based out of Surrey. He lost his mother at a young age to alcohol use. Despite this, he has helped innovate his field and improved the quality of care individuals with brain cancer receive, and has put Canada on the world stage for some of his research, including Project Iron Soldier. I have faced a lot of adversity and challenges growing up, and I didn't know what it meant to reach my full potential. But when I thought of this, I thought of a video I watched called Good by Jocko Willink, and he argues that we should look at adversity as an opportunity because it can set the example for others, and that is what I hope this podcast brings about. I hope this podcast can inspire others to face their challenges head on, find a supportive community, and to reach their full potential. Through this, I sincerely believe that we can all be catalysts for change in a meaningful way in our communities.
Our final presenter is Kevin Stone, the world-renowned master metal artist. Kevin specializes in large-scale, one-of-a-kind, three-dimensional stainless steel sculptures. Many of you have probably seen displayed one of his beautiful larger-than-life eagles. Working from Chilliwack, Kevin has developed a reputation for producing exquisite, highly detailed stainless steel masterpieces for a growing international clientele, including Dolly Parton and a number of wealthy art collectors. He enjoys the artistic challenge presented with each new piece and is always interested in bringing someone's vision to life. He never disappoints, and I believe you'll agree with me that his work is truly awesome. Please, Kevin, come up and tell us about what you do. Kevin Stone.
Thank you, Ian. Good evening, everybody. Some of you might know me from seeing my sculptures along Highway 1, just east of town, others from local papers and news channels, and for those of you who do not know me, well, I hope you enjoy my presentation tonight. I began my career when I turned 19 by attending welding courses at the Camosun College in Victoria, BC, where I completed my apprenticeship and training and started my career in welding. Over the years, I worked various jobs in the welding industry. These included commercial construction, shop fabrication, and working in the food and dairy industry. The latter led me to getting a job in Abbotsford building brewery equipment. This was an excellent job, and working in this industry taught me a lot about TIG welding, metal finishing, stainless steel, and I acquired many of the skills that I use in my art regularly. My first sculpture, an 8-foot winged gargoyle, built by a company I worked for by using scrap from around the shop. I really enjoyed building it, but never thought I'd have a career making sculpture like that. Sometime later, I met a fellow who had seen my gargoyle and asked me if I could build other things. He wanted me to go into business with him. Our first project was a 30-foot eagle, mirror polished stainless steel. It had a great publicity and eventually purchased by a person in Fort Langley area for his private home. Following that, I began another partnership to create another 40-foot stainless eagle and an even bigger 85-foot stainless steel Chinese dragon. These two sculptures gained me a lot of publicity and attention towards my work, leading me to build a 55-foot eagle for Dolly Parton's Dollywood. My eagle still stands proud there to this day. At the time, I was not busy enough in art to provide a solid income, so with a shop full of tools and a passion for building cars, my wife and I opened Stone Speed Shop in 2013 to provide a steady income for us and our family. Stone Speed Shop was a fantastic opportunity to show my skills in the automotive restoration and provide a service for the car collectors and classic car community. Throughout the years working at Stone's, we made lots of new friends, built an amazing team of gifted craftsmen, and won many car shows and awards for our work. And really, more than anything, learned a lot about business in general. I had built a few smaller eagles during my time working on cars, with some of them being sold locally, such as a stainless steel eagle at Green Lake and another eagle at Calgary Harley-Davidson dealership. Sometime later, I received a call from the Big Boys Toy Show in Las Vegas. They asked if I wanted to display my work at their annual show. I jumped at the chance to have my work seen in Vegas and had nothing to bring. This led me to creating a 35-foot mirror-polished stainless steel Falcon. After building the Falcon for almost a year, COVID struck. The show was canceled, and I was stuck with a big Falcon and no place to show it or sell it. So I set it aside and continued my car building. A few months later, I received a call from a man standing in front of my big eagle at Dollywood. He wanted to commission me to build another eagle, just like the one he was in front of. After talking for some time, I mentioned that not only could I build eagles, but I could build anything to his liking. He chose Drogon, a huge Game of Thrones dragon from the television series. I was thrilled to get to build another dragon, especially one that breathes fire. I started the dragon within weeks of our conversation. What an exciting project. I immediately started to share pictures and progress of the dragon as we went along. This led to a man calling me from Florida and asked if the dragon was for sale. I responded no, but I do have a large stainless Falcon for sale. He asked for pictures, and after a few conversations, he purchased the Falcon from me. I arranged to have the Falcon shipped to Miami. He had a large gallery in Miami and showed off his vast collection of exotic supercars and various forms of artwork. This sale to Miami led to another man calling me from the Cayman Islands. He was a close friend of the man in Miami and expressed to me how much he liked my work and asked if I could build a T-Rex. He said he had always wanted a big chrome T-Rex since childhood. I was thrilled. What a fun and incredible project to get to do. And then I realized these two projects would not fit with the speed shop and all the cars we were building. Previously, Michelle and I had brought on partners at the speed shop to help it grow and diversify. Michelle and I decided it was time to sell, time to pursue my dream, and not let these amazing opportunities pass us by. We sold our shop immediately, relocated to our current shop in Yarrow, where we had rented a large space to work. Shortly after moving in, we were contacted yet again from a new client in the U.S. wanting a giant aluminum Elon head, mounted to a goat, riding a rocket on the back of a semi-trailer. You can't make this stuff up. For a cryptocurrency company wanting to brand their crypto token with Elon. After completing Elon, he was shipped to Arizona, where the rest of the project was completed and is now on tour throughout the United States, advertising their token and eventually being delivered to Elon himself in Texas. We are now working on 4 projects: a dragon, a T-Rex, my first large abstract stainless steel sculpture titled Pearl of the Ocean. This sculpture is going to reside in Mexico at the large home being built by a local businessman from Victoria, BC. It's a great opportunity for me to show my different aspect of my work, do large-scale abstract, and possibly opening new markets and commissions. The last of our 4 sculptures is a beautiful 18-foot eagle for the American Eagle Foundation, where it's going to reside at their new research and rehabilitation facility under construction in Kodak, Tennessee. We are in the process of completing these 2 huge, multi-year long sculptures and preparing to expand and move again into a larger space back here in Chilliwack, where we can continue building our dreams one sculpture at a time. For those of you who would like to follow our journey and creative process, we are on multiple social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find us by searching Metal Sculptor Kevin Stone. Thank you.
Wow. On behalf of the Creative Commission, CEPCO Committee, and President Brian Coombs, I want to thank those who made this program possible. First, I'd like to thank our speakers, Amy, Jean-Louis, Aaron, Brent, Mick, and Kevin, for sharing your stories and passions for change. I'm sure everyone in the room and online has been inspired and informed by your talks. And I believe as a result of your words and images, we all feel better about living together with you in this extraordinary community. Thank you to Nettie Tam and the staff at CEPCO for all your unfailing behind-the-scenes coordination. And thank you to Tim McAlpine. He's in the studio, the control room over there, and his studio CEPCO Chilliwack for all your considerable efforts in making this event possible. Tim. And thank you to all who have joined us for our 2022 Creativity Unbound. I think you can all agree PechaKucha is a great platform for businesses and community members to share their stories. We hope to see you again here next year. Bye for now.